Caroline, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to Ciaran and myself today. You are in lovely Barcelona. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. No, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing? I'm looking forward to have a chat with you guys. So it's nice.
The pleasure is all ours. The pleasure is all ours. And you're moving now, and you have a couple of days off. Your team is flying. It must be good to be Caroline right now.
Yeah, pretty much summed it up there. Life is good. A lot of fun playing football. Yeah, at the moment in between moving, so that's exciting too. In general, just taking a bit day by day and appreciate the fact that I'm actually able to do my work and play football and have fun.
And we'll get into Barcelona and stuff like that a bit after. But I want to start a bit unconventionally. I was doing research on you, and it said that you were into poetry and literature. And I was wondering then, during these pandemic times, if there's been a theme to your poetry or the books you read during this time, and maybe even you've been inspired by Gaudi and the Barcelona architecture. Who knows?
No, of course, maybe you write things down more when things are hard. In general, I try to write a bit every day about how things are going or trainings are going, just to sort my mind out. I think it's a good way of ending the day. In terms of book, I've been very into this Icelandic author. He has a really hard name, so I don't remember it. But in Norwegian, the name of the book is called Sommerlys og så kom natten. So it's like one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. So I'm on the third book of him now. Don't remember his name, but I remember the books. And this one was the first I read, and it was so good. I read it through Corona.
Oh, really? Little shout out to Icelandic literature. That's a nice one.
It's one I really recommend people to read it. It's a beautiful book.
We'll keep that in mind. That's good. We're always up for the book suggestions. Yeah. Listen, I want to start just briefly on your childhood coming up, because I'll use myself as a reference. Obviously, we're both from in and around the Oslo area, and I remember as a kid coming up, I heard that there was this girl who was really, really good, who was training with the boys and really, performing from a young age, and that girl happened to be you. How was that experience for you, being part of that boys' environment and training, and how did you find that?
It was exciting. From a young age, you just want to compete and improve, so you just get caught into the fact that I just wanted to play for the team, and then eventually it was good enough to be with the one boys older, which is then your age. Then I played more and more for this team in Lyon. Then we met you guys, which basically had the best 94 year. What's it called?
94. I know what you're saying.
Your year of age, which you had the best team in Oslo, maybe in Norway at that time. So I just remember also every time we played you guys, it was like really hard. And for me in this environment at the time was like, I was just being a part of one of the boys, one of the guys. They treated me like one, didn't treat me differently, really nice people. And I had good coaches who took care of me and let me improve. Even though maybe physically I was not that good compared to you guys, I still could do it tactically and technically. So it was cool. It's one of the proudest things and best things that happened to me in terms of my development as a young player, I think. So I think it's funny though. I always remember we play Bærum, your team. And then it was like, this there's the son of Fjørtoft, Everybody was talking about this.
Hey, listen, it's what it is. I've had discussions about this.
No offense, but it's like
it is.
You had to cope with that name pressure.
That's
as
how
a young
it is.
Kid too.
That's how it is. It's I was, to be honest, I was never fazed by that. It was just for me, it was just part of pride. And then I think it helped that maybe we weren't the same position and stuff like that. But I wore as like badge of honor, and then I did my shit. But it was funny. There was some good battles between Barum and Lyon, and obviously Lyon have a lot of good players coming up. They had a really good youth development setup. Caroline is one of them. Mats Dali, who is now in Torsby, exactly, who's in Italy for Sampdoria. So a lot of good players, and it was a very inclusive and very high quality environment. So it was very good.
We were lucky. We were very lucky. So it was a great time. It's funny to look back.
It's always fun to reminisce a bit.
I'm wondering, was there a specific moment when you realised, okay, I can actually become really, really, really good here?
I think I've always, from a young age, like I think you as a kid notice if you're good at stuff or not. And I, from a young age, was like, I was always playing with the boys, but even there I was really good. And then as you grow older, you realize that, oh shit, you're a lot better than a lot of the girls also. And to be fair, I just really enjoyed the game of football. And as the years went by, I think even when I was 13, 14, my goal was to debut for the men's team of Lyon. Like I didn't even have a perspective of going professional for women's, because it's something that you didn't really know anything about or people didn't talk about. I think until I was 13, I didn't even know that it existed a national team for women's, like it was a different age than it is now. It's a bit sad that I didn't have any female role models in football, for example. I only had like the male ones, like the old Ronaldo, Zidane, Solskjaer in the national team of Norway. These were my football role models in life. So it was maybe when I was 13 at my first under 14 national team camp, and then I was called up for the 2-year older girls, like to go and play the Open Nordic tournament. And that was my first national team game then, where I realized, this is maybe something really, really cool to pursue. And I understood, it's actually possible if you're really good to live from it and go professional as well. So at that time was maybe the first time I realized that this is something I can do for the rest of my career and also live from if I'm working hard.
It seems to be, having read about you and talked to other female footballers too, the lack of role models growing up in terms of people that were similar to you were lacking because of maybe there wasn't a proper structure around the game. And you've been quoted saying that as a girl, you were always told you weren't going to be able to live from football, and you've obviously disproved that of great inspiration. How do you bear in mind for you being a role model for girls versus just focusing on your game, because that's a tough balance to manage. I can assume.
Yeah, like before, in this case also, I think the fact that I just really enjoy the game is my priority number one. But I'm also like the first step to being a role model is being aware of that you are one. So even though I'm not maybe visible every day in social media, or maybe I'm a bit laid back with media in general, I need to acknowledge that a lot of girls look up to me, and I have to behave accordingly, because probably a lot of girls out there that wants to play as me or maybe live the dream as I do. And this has actually been one of my main goals this year, to just put myself more out there, even though I'm uncomfortable with it. I know it can be a big difference and make a big motivational difference for a lot of young girls. And this is important for our sport in Norway and in the world in general. So this has actually been one of my main challenges for myself this year, to just put myself more out there, to be there as a role model for other young kids or girls in general that likes football.
What does that entail, then, putting yourself more out there? Are there any certain areas you want to get into, or is it
just small stuff? For example, it's a bit sad, but it's not so easy to get hold of our jerseys. You have to order them through Barca store here, but you can't order them to Norway. So it's been like people asking, where can we buy your shirt? And I said, okay, just send it to my home address. I'll send it to Norway. So this is right. Normally I would just not do this because I don't want to use my time on it. But at the same time, I'm going to do it now and use my time on it because I know it's going to mean a lot for other people. So this is one way of putting myself more out there, being more available. The other stuff is more like towards the sponsors. I've taken more actions to them, coming with ideas about how we can promote the women's game in Norway, because I know if I put myself and my experiences out there, it can probably motivate others. And I just do it with the thought of I'm not doing it for enriching myself, but to help others. I'm never going there and asking for money. I'm going there with an idea, with the intention of improving our visibility of our game in Norway. Mm-hmm. So I've done stuff towards our sponsors, for example, with the national team, and some, for example, Bama, too, to just do more stuff together with them. So normally I would just sit in silence and play football, but this year been doing more out of myself in these ways.
I mean, it's a challenge. It's kind of unfair in a sense because most, you're performing at the highest level of the women's game. In the men's game, there comes an expectation of being a role model in sorts because the game is growing. So I know I can feel that kind of balance is tough, but one that has to be taken. Could you touched upon Barcelona a bit as well? And obviously Barcelona is an historic institution. It's an historic city. You have the capital of Catalonia, the culture there and all the history that comes with it. Could you give us a little insight how it is being a part of a city and a club like that?
It's special. From the first day, like I played at Wolfsburg, which did so much good for the women's game. It's a small club compared to Barcelona on the world basis of men's football or women's football. Also, because when you came here, it was like, this is a big club with a lot of fans that really cares for you to perform well. And it's not only performing well, you have to perform in a certain way. Like you have to play a type of football with a type of style. Comes certain responsibilities to how you are visible outside your life. Then you have a lot of facts like the weather when you train every day. It's more or less always pretty good. So you're just enjoying the fact that as a Norwegian, you don't have to freeze every day. You can enjoy the weather and nice fields every day. And just to put the Barca shirt on was surreal. Like as a kid, you just go around with Rivaldo on your back. I remember as a kid, and then it's like feels so far away that you would ever actually play for this club, and then suddenly you're there. So I had to pinch myself many times in the first half year when I was playing there, just to like, I'm actually here and I'm representing them, and we're doing so well and playing with so many good players. So it's an adventure and a good one. So I'm just enjoying.
Brilliant. Caroline, recently the club Barcelona as a club has appeared a little broken. They've had lacklustre results, somewhat of an identity crisis with a lot of turnover on the men's side, but during this all, the women's team have remained at the forefront, reaching new levels. Could you tell us a little bit about the team's development since you've been there?
It's been amazing. Like the summer I came, they've just been to the Champions League final, and the main thing I think they felt like was lacking was the physical ability to compete against the best, because they saw that tactically they were good, but they were just lacking the power and the speed and the form to compete against the best. So my preseason, when I was coming from other players, I was told, it's chill here. And then after I was like, this is not chill, because the team that turned out, they just changed the whole system then from the Champions League final until that preseason, because, okay, we have to keep improving. So for me to come in there then and just see that they really take it seriously in terms of developing the team and pushing for being the best to the next level was amazing for me to being able to be a part of. And you could just see the first 6 months then how much people just in general improved, because we were training harder, we were training more. People physically could also see their improvements, which means like our game went faster, trainings went faster, was harder to compete in training. You push yourself better, and you could see how people just develop in all aspects of their game as well. And we were winning, and people felt like they hadn't won a league title in 5 years, and then you get on this winning roll and keep winning, and play good. I think everybody's like, oof, it's been a crazy good road since the Champions League final for the whole team. So it's a joy to be here and be a part of this development, because it's so many good players here that deserves a lot more cred for what they're doing. So I really hope we can show that in the Champions League even more this year, because it's a lot of talent and a lot of good players that is young and deserve the visibility in terms of also the female game, to see that we can really play good football.
I mean, it seems to certainly have worked considering your season so far. 19 games, 19 wins, 95 goals scored, 3 goals conceded.
Yep.
Carolina has assisted 10 of them. 4 goals, correct?
In the league, yes. I don't know. I think I have in the league. I think it's more. I think it's 13 assists or something.
13 assists.
Yeah.
Google's got to update their stuff. Then.
I don't know. To be fair, the most important thing for me is that we're winning and that I can create chances in this balance, so that we are able to win every game. The numbers is a bonus, but of course you want to contribute. This is why you play. You want to have fun and be a part of the goal scoring chances and all these things. But in the end, if you ask me, I'd rather go off the pitch, have no goal in moments, and we win 1-0 than having 5 in one game and you win 12-0. So
good answer.
In the end, what's important for me is the 19-0. Let's see if we can keep it going. It's been a very joyful road so far.
Yeah, very, very, very impressive. Last bit on Barcelona, and you can please compare this to your experience in Germany too. How does Barcelona factor into your development in terms of taking that next step, and how does it compare development-wise to when you were at Wolfsburg?
Like the German style of play is physical, more direct, more, how do you say, fast transitions, counter-attacking style of play. While here it's more Spanish, and also even more with Barcelona, control the possession, using the ball more. That also helped me develop my game in terms of, I love the ball, but even just to go out there and training every day and you use the ball every day, it's all about using your legs and using the ball and moving the ball, and like playing rondo every day. But here it's like it's a religion, kind of. It's different. It's a joy to be a part of. So this is also part of the Barcelona style, and you see it from the outside, but when you're on the inside, you're really like, they play rondo on, not like in Norway, like, just laughing. We're laughing too, but dead serious. So it's like different but fun.
What we would do for rondo every day in training.
I know. It's a bit different.
You can imagine, it's a dream. Like in Norway, we're like always the day before the game, a bit of fun, rondo,
yeah.
And here we're doing it every day as a part of the training, and it's so much fun in different ways, of course, but it's always there.
And I'm sure it suits yours. I mean, you are very technical. You have a great football intelligence. It suits your style of play, your technique and stuff, I can imagine. Yeah,
it does well. And this is also when you get to keep working on your good stuff, you also will improve in these areas of your game. So it's been very good for my development. Like Germany learned me so much in terms of training, how to train, how to push yourself mentally, always be on your toes, never slow down. And then you can bring this into the way of playing football too, like they do here. It's a good combination. So it's been very, very good for me.
Yeah, Markus touched on it there, but he's told me that you've got an incredible football intelligence. What would you attribute that to?
I think one part is to watch football, and then the second part is for me. I think the fact that I play with the boys, so I wasn't that physically strong. I couldn't compete with speed, But my dad always had like one rule for me, that the day you stop doing what you're good at, like passing people 1v1, dribbling, because you're scared or you feel like you can't surpass them with your speed or whatever, it's we have to find a different level than the boys. So I think I then compensated by being smart. I was never like out taken in the duels, because I found out that if I take them on the wrong foot or early enough, power doesn't matter. It's about timing. And the same way of moving on the field, like if I create the space for me early enough and take the touch in the right timing, they can be as fast as they can, but I will still be able to surpass them, for example. So I think it has a lot to do with the fact that you have to find ways to still use your strengths by playing with your head instead of the physical parts. So for me, that it's like I said in the beginning, it's been so important for me that I got to play with the boys for so long in my career.
What is it that motivates you to continue to performing at a high level, Carolina? Because I'd be curious about that inner drive for you.
I think it's just the joy of the game. Like when I go out there, you're able to surpass people with cool shots or cool tricks, or winning those games. And like, you know, the feeling when you're playing for fun with friends, and to have that possibility to enjoy that game every day, but also winning titles and playing good football with your teammates. It's like my main drive. It's just amazing. And of course, I love to compete, so it's a part of it where it's also like I enjoy the part of the game where you every day you train and you do it to improve your game and see the small improvements you can have over time. It's also very rewarding for me. So it's the joy of the game, and the fact that you can improve as a human every day in different aspects.
Pimp Society can paint on anything you want. Pimp Society is a creative outlet for both you as a customer and then me as a creator. Now you can currently go on the website, fill in a form, and then you'll get, we'll communicate through email.
We've seen a lot of growth recently in women's soccer, and a large part of that is because of the investment from some of the biggest clubs in the world, like Barcelona, over the last few years. But looking forward, what are some of the key factors for the women's game to continue growing?
You've seen like every big championship, it's been like a massive boost before and after. And I think it's a bit sad. Of course, you can change the situation now with Corona, but after the World Cup in the 2019, we saw with our national team, we had like, what was it? Almost sold out Brand Stadium, which is then 15,000. I think it was like 10,000 or 11,000 there. And to score a goal there, and you just have goosebumps when you score because the whole stadium is cheering for you. I never had that in my career. I'm sure that if it wouldn't be for the Corona situation now, we would have achieved our goal to fill out the national arena in the same way, which is like been a dream for us women to do. So it's a shame, but like then you see how the good effects of always playing championship, for example, especially for us. And I think now with the Euros coming up in England, which is the home of football, it's going to be boosting even more, and even again help us improve that development of the media interest and the sport itself in terms of professionalizing. And of course, with a lot of people in the stands, the people who wants to invest also pay their visit, and this is how the ball is rolling now. It goes faster and faster and gets bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. And long may it continue, hopefully. Have you given any thought what you want to do after your career?
Of course I have. Like at the moment, I'm actually just enjoying football, because you can only play football for so many years, and if I would really want to study at the side at the moment, I would. But I don't know. I really enjoy just the freedom of life and being able to enjoy football. I try to enrich myself with, like I said before, interact more with the sponsors, connecting contacts there, educate myself more in general in life and interacting with people, because in the end it comes a time where you have to do normal work, study, and compared to a sport life, it's from maybe you're 18 until you're 30, it's 12 years, and then you have another 50 years where you can do whatever you like and you don't need your body. And I think for me then, when I'm done playing, I just want to look back and like, hey, I did everything I could to use the most out of that time, and what comes will come after. Because if I don't know exactly at this moment what I would do after, I'm not gonna spend extra time on stuff that takes my attention away from what I love doing right now, because in the end I will figure it out anyway.
I think that's a great answer. I mean, Ciaran and I discuss this regularly too, in terms of how much you focus on what comes after, you know, in terms of preparing and whatnot. And I agree with you. And it's a good reminder for me from you, to be fair, to stay in the moment, to enjoy football, because like you say, a football career is so short in the grand scheme of things. And so I agree. It's just making most of it, and it will most certainly prepare you better the better you perform now and where you're going. So I
hope you guys can just enjoy football too, as much as you can, because in the end, suddenly you're 35 and your body is aching, and then you have to realize I have to do something else. And at least you can look back then and say, hey, I gave it my all. I had a lot of fun, and let's see what's next. You know, life is too short to worry too much about, okay, what I'm going to do in 10 years. I don't know. What I want to do now is not necessarily what I want to do in 10 years, you know, if I wouldn't play football. So it's not like I'm saying school is important. That's not what I'm saying. But unless you like have a really clear plan of what you want to work with, then I rather spend my focus on enjoying football at the moment.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll keep that on rewind. I'll keep reminding myself every now and again.
Please do.
Is there a game in your career that stands out for you as one of your favourites?
Yes. I think the happiest I've ever felt at the football field is when we won against Netherlands at home, 2018. We had to win. The Netherlands was through to the World Cup if they just had 1 point. We needed the 3 points. We were playing at home. It was actually a good amount of people there in the stadium. It was a nice day. You know, sometimes you just feel in the mornings like today's going to be special. The team felt good. People were confident. And we went out there and won. Of course, we were a bit pressured in the end, but when the referee blew the whistle, I never had so much euphoria in my body and my whole life. Like, it felt like we won the World Cup, Euros, Olympics, I don't know, Champions League at that same very moment. And even today, when I think about it, I get this same feeling. So this game is like, we only went to the World Cup, but at the same time, it was so important because we had a lot of turbulence in the whole 2 years of qualification prior, after terrible Euros. Then we knew that we really needed the World Cup to keep building on the females football interest in Norway. We knew that if we didn't qualify, it could kind of be like make it or break it point of in terms of how the development of the football in Norway could continue. So when there was a lot of pressure out and a lot of joy out in terms of that we reached our goals, it was a lot of emotions. But yeah, as I said, this game, the happiest, and we didn't even win anything, but it was an amazing feeling.
There's no better euphoria, like you say, than after you've won, and especially a tight game. And what I can imagine for you when so much is on the line, I don't think there's many better feelings, you know.
Yeah.
Just right after the game.
It doesn't really matter what level you're playing or how important the game is. Sometimes like you said, if it's a hard fought game and that whistle goes and there's only a couple of goals in it, It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible, to be fair. But Caroline, last question. Listen, you've extended your contract at the beginning of the year. Extended your contract to 2023, I believe.
Yes.
You've performed very well, Barcelona and for the national team. Where do you see yourself now in say 5 years?
Oh, that's a hard question. I hope I'm still playing. Like knock on wood. You see how quickly it can change with injuries or whatever. So yeah, I have very much this. This is the one thing I'm super Yeah, this is the one thing. Like people always ask, like, "Oh, do you have any rituals before games?" And I don't, because I think in the end it just takes away so much energy on like, okay, I had a bad game today. What did I do, for example? Or I had a good game today. What did I do? So this is out. But one thing I'm very superstitious about, every time I mention injuries or think about injuries, I'm always like, no, talking about, this is the only thing I'm so superstitious about, that I have to like do all these rituals. That's the only thing. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I'm hoping I'm still playing, enjoying the game. If it would happen with the next two, Championship of Euros and World Cup, I would love to have another medal, or the dream would be winning something with Norway within this time. I hope I've been able to win the Champions League, but in the end, if it's not gonna happen, it's not the end of the world. Of course, this is what you work for. So I feel like then, this would be a bit sad, but I'm still then, 30? So I could still have time to make it, still kind of young. Not young, but like still have time. So
absolutely,
that would be the goal, like reaching some of those things.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Also, it's good that you say you're young at 30, because for our listeners, and I'm nearing.
It's 1 year difference, or?
Yeah, 1 year difference between you and me. But we're closer. We're closer to 30 now than 20, Caroline. It's I don't know how to feel about it.
I was sad the day I turned 26. I was like, oof. It's going down now.
Oh no! You just have to accept that time is inevitable, my friend. That's exactly the way it is. That's the way it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I agree. Listen, Caroline, thank you so much for taking the time. It was great getting a little insight into your life and your development, and hopefully your form may continue. You have Manchester City, I believe, in the quarterfinal, and that's next week.
Yeah. Is it? Sorry, we have so many games, but I think it's not so far away, the 20th or something.
Yeah, that's next week.
So, then it's next week. You're right. Sorry.
No, that would be brilliant. So we look very much forward to follow that, and we'll keep the listeners posted on our Twitter and all that. So thank you so much for taking the time, Caroline.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.